Hey everybody, welcome back to your favorite reaction show. This is of course X is for show, where today we're talking a little bit unusual comics business. I don't want to spoil the whole business because normally you find me at Nico Action, that's NICOACTION, but today I am Clark Kent and I have to be at certain angles so that my glasses don't reflect the screen.
Where did Nico go?
That's just a cape, don't be surprised. But you guys can find me at Nico Action. It's NICOACTION with glare.
And you can find me at TK Elemental.
You can find me repping the cap over at Kev O'Reilly.
And I'm dressed nicely, and you can find me over places at Peak Jonah. That's Peak.
Well, don't worry.
You can be kind of stealth Daredevil. It's got the maroon.
And I have a costume change for later, so please don't worry. It's all good. And I love having some people in the audience. Hey, what's up, Ali Galactic? Hey, what's up, Tasty Cake? It's going to be a really exciting time. I've been trying to get these amazing nerds to do this episode, some version of this episode with me for a hot minute. Like many people, stuff when they were 10 years old determined who they would be for the rest of their life. And when I was 10 years old, Marvel and DC were both hard up enough for cash because I guess the New Adventures of Lois and Clark wasn't doing bangers and the Generation X movie, end of sentence. So we found ourselves in a world where both companies needed the moolah. And so they found a way to work together and create Marvel versus DC, or DC versus Marvel. The title alternated so that nobody would be more versus than the other. And they came up with 11 matches and then a bunch of weird stuff. For instance, at the end of the third issue of the crossover event, there were like 40 new books. And it was stuff like basically what would happen if characters combined. So if Wolverine and Batman combined, you got Dark Claw. If the X-Men and the JLA combined, you got the JLX. Then there were unique elements as well, like specifically smaller ideas and identities. But this was a moment, and this moment has fought so hard to be relevant. The Amalgam Age of Comics is returning in 2 complete omnibus editions, and it's a pretty cool time to be a fan of these things because honestly, it's the first time in years that Marvel and DC have really jumped into this together. There was a reprint of JLA Avengers pretty much just in memory of George Perez earlier this year. Actually, it's 2023 now. But this will be really exciting. So my question to you guys, thank you for letting me monologue about this dream project. What do you guys remember about DC versus Marvel, Marvel versus DC, DC versus Marvel, Marvel versus DC?
So I, until you started talking about it, had kind of forgotten about the versus part of it. I remembered Amalgam very well.
Interesting.
But Amalgam is really part 2. So when you were like, we would do the verses over again, I was like, what do you mean do them over again? Like, they amalgamated them, they didn't versus them. And then I remember, I do remember it from the time, but it just didn't really stick with me. Because here's the other big thing. This came out when I was like 10 or 11. And this was exactly when my parents were like, no longer are we just going to buy you comic books. You have an allowance. You can buy your own stuff. And so I was very limited, where before they were just like, if you like it and it's getting you to read and stuff, we'll stick with you. But at this point, it had been like 4-ish years and I was older. I was capable of like doing chores and stuff like that. So they were like, we're not paying for the free ride is done. If you want comics, you got to pay for them yourself. So I bought significantly less. And if I still wanted all my X books, I couldn't really afford all the Amalgam books. And so I feel like I remember getting Jubilee and Robin, and then like one, maybe it was like Storm and Wonder Woman, whatever the gayest 2 you can think of were. Those were the 2 that I went for.
I really love that you defined your fandom with your homosexuality. Everybody
do.
everybody needs something. You know, we measure distance in miles. You measure your fandom in gay, and I think that's really beautiful. You know, Jonah, I'm gonna switch to you for a moment, Kevo, because you know you're gonna have an answer somewhat in the range of me and TK. But Jonah, this literally happened pre Jay. This is before you in so many ways.
Yeah, literally.
Are you like Ali Galactic and had no idea this happened? Or did you even know about Amalgam?
I knew nothing about nothing. The only thing I knew about is way back when the Teen Titans had a crossover with the X-Men, and that's about it.
82. Yeah, it's quite a book that I love more than anything. It's a good one. It's a good one. I really love all of those classic crossover issues. I believe they're also getting reprinted in this Marvel vs. DC omnibus. This nonsense is insane. They're also including all access and unlimited access. Kevo, did you know that there was this 4-part miniseries, 2 4-part follow-up series, 26 one-shots in this universe, and then nothing again?
I mean, to that capacity, no. What was that store in the Woodbridge Mall?
Zap Comics.
That was kind of no, it wasn't. It was one of those weird things like a Suncoast or a Spencer's. It was down toward on the bottom level by where the WB store had been, and it was one of those like you can get, you know, pop culture posters and crap like that. And I saw a collection of this in there. It was the first thing. I have a vivid memory of seeing it there because I remember being so blown away because even at whatever young age I was of 11, 12, 13, I was aware that you know, this wasn't something that was the norm. These were 2 very separate companies, very competitive companies, as we like to say, the Coke and Pepsi. And so this crossover and seeing Green Lantern fighting which one is
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, no, yes. And I remember being like, this is nuts. I had little context, and I was on a mall trip with the Reese family, so it was already a lot of high tension, so I didn't really have a lot of time to linger and look at it.
Uniquely hellish.
It captured my attention, that was for sure.
And oh my gosh, hey to
hey
one
from
of our
Vacay Tori,
people, one of our favorite people in the universe, Tori. Great to see you. So I was trying to quickly. I can't find my list of all Marvel vs. DC ever. I have a complete, a number of complete organized lists of every time they ever met, and I will look for it. As we are on air, I'm sure I will come across it. But, you know, one of the things that I really love, Kevo, is that you mentioned that for you, you kind of discovered this. This was something you came to by virtue of seeing it in the mall at random. Whereas
by accident, yeah.
Yeah, you know, growing up, something that I remember really clearly is that because my dad was such a big comics guy, because my dad was someone who was so involved in, and I found my list, so involved in the world of comics. I really kind of always knew about some of these. I did find my list. I just want to go through them because it's not quite as crazy as you might think. We have Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man from January of 1976. Marvel Treasury Edition 28, Superman and Spider-Man from April of 81. We have DC Special Series, Batman versus the Incredible Hulk, September of 81 by one of my favorites, Len Wein. We have Darkseid versus Galactus, The Hunger from August of 95. Then we have a bunch of Punisher Batman. Batman Punisher Lake of Fire from August of 94. Punisher Batman Deadly Nights from October of 94. Spider-Man Batman Disordered Minds, September of 95. Batman and Spider-Man New Age Dawning, October of 97. Silver Surfer Green Lantern Unholy Alliance was literally a project designed exclusively to set this whole crossover up. we have the crossover event itself, plus all of those incredible amalgam books. You know, we'll get to them at some point someday. But there are also just a handful of crossovers in addition. There is Silver Surfer Superman from 97, Hulk Superman from 99, Superman Fantastic Four from 99, Batman Captain America from 97, and then the Holy Grail for me, two of my absolute top 10 comics of all time. I would, if I could, like, seriously only bring so many comics to a desert island, it would involve Batman Daredevil Eye for an Eye and Batman Daredevil King of New York. These books are super big for me. I love them so much. I have first printings of both. It was a moment. It sucked, but to get them, that is. There's, of course, the aforementioned JLA Avengers 1 through 4. There's a couple of other things I would mention over the years, but side note, Tasty Cake, I actually worked for an FYE, funny enough. But anyway, whole history of DC Marvel. It's incredible. These people all knew each other. They were all friends. They worked at both companies. Everybody did. It is so fucking cool that this existed. I remember seeing these covers as a little boy, and 10 years old was a really complicated age because you were starting to have adult interests. Even if you didn't know that that's what they were, wanting your own time to read books you liked was an adult interest. It's a psychological change point where you begin to engage with self-play, unfortunately. But it's about turning inward and deciding what you want. My dad thought this looked dumb as shit. He was like, oh, I've read all those Superman, Batman, Hulk, X-Men, Avengers books. They're dumb. I've read every one of them. Nothing happens, which this is a terrible impression of my father. But it is he was not into this. I was. The idea that you could discuss it. And now we're going to get to the part that's really interesting. Kevo, you did a redux of one of the images from the book itself. Would you mind flashing to it for a moment?
Which one?
The tally,
goodness.
if you would.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
What many people don't realize is that of the 11 fights in this book, 6 of them were determined editorially. The outcome of 5 of them were determined by fan vote. Now, part of what we're here to discuss, for my sake, is these editor picks. Some of them would stand today. Some of these matches would never fucking happen because these companies would never let this happen. Never, ever. These companies would never put these people against these people in some cases. That was some crazy talk. Additionally, there are some people who were omitted that I think nowadays would be included. But we're going to talk about some fights that I don't think DC thought they were going to lose. One in particular, I do not think DC ever imagined. But I think Marvel might have overplayed their hands, and I really think Marvel thinks they might have won one more fight than they did. And I'm really excited because the social capital of these characters are totally different. Thank you all for letting me. Galactic, when we talk about how Jubilee loses, Jubilee literally loses because Robin starts flashing his beautiful eyes at her, and she's like, wait, really? And he subdues her and ties her up, and she's like, oh, but I want to fight back, but you broke my heart. I could use my powers and break myself out, but I'm too heartbroken about this. It is horrible.
While Ali Galactic concedes, yes, I am a fangirl. She said Jubilee would clean Robin's clock. TBH. Tori agrees. Ali, you is not wrong.
Do not
agree. Angry about your description.
It's Tim.
I'm going to tell you right now, I will be voting against. I love Jubes. Well, so now it's complicated because Jubilee is on her 4th incarnation of being a person. And I assumed this Robin was talking about Jason Todd at this point, right? This is talking about Tim Drake.
That's why I literally went, Tim, no. Oh.
Yeah, I thought you were just mad at me.
I'm like, no, it's Tim Drake. No, it's not one of the good ones.
Yeah. Tim Drake is the worst one. So
says so much.
I do think this era Jubilee would get her shit rocked by Damian, Jason Todd, and even Dick Grayson. But then Jubilee from the current era would beat the shit out of most of them, except again maybe Damien.
Well, so
Anyway,
then-
we'll get to it.
exactly. That's what I am so excited to get to. How much of this is going to be exciting, engaging, fun. We have 4 people here plus an audience, so we're going to be able to get to a majority vote and definitely talk about some really cool odds. And again, I picked 5 matches that I just thought would be really fun to talk about. Some people that really would have been considered if this were made now, right? But the main thing I want to talk about here is I'm not even here to debate if they should have won in 1996. We can debate that for sure. I'm so excited to debate.
But you're not here to.
But I mean, like, I'm not here to say anyone was wrong about then. It's what happened. It happened. The plot choices might be really stupid. Like
You're not here to say they didn't deserve it or anything.
Yeah, I'm not here to shit on anybody's
Robbed.
fandom. Yeah, I'm not.
You're
Queen.
not gagged.
Yeah,
Rigged.
I think the way Robin beat Jubilee is bullshit, but I'm not here to say that there's no point in the 90s that Robin couldn't have beat
Right.
Jubilee. Right? So that's where I'm at. So I would love to get to our bracket, start bracketacking, and bracketack.
Bracket-a-tack-tack-tack.
I did not be here, Space Ghost. Little Brack show humor for everybody.
Well, thanks.
I'm going to explain who some of these characters are because you might not know who some of them are just by looking at them.
Right.
Kevo was great enough to upload some imagery to our Facebook. I do not know why I said it like the next word should have been Ndere, but that happened. That's terrifying.
Because we need to cover Once Upon a Time, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, I hear it too. So, all right, let's start with a fight I didn't care about in 1996 and kind of don't care about in 2024. This is, of course, proper Aquaman versus proper Namor. We're going to get into some not quite the real selves. But Kevo, is it possible to flash the images of where these guys are now?
Yes. Yes.
Back in the day, Aquaman was the winner. And I can even kind of understand why. When you're talking about Aquaman, he's like literally magically the sea. You know what I mean? Namor's just kind of like an annoying gay in the water, right? So it's just sort of like Bo and Yang at the pool. You know what I mean? But nowadays, we have Jason Momoa, and I'm going to say this poor man's name so wrong, so I'm just going to say a far greater cultural impact from Namor than we could have ever expected. I think these characters have changed so significantly. Do you guys still think that Aquaman would win? I maybe do, because I can't imagine the also ran from Namor beating 2-movie Aquaman. What do you guys think? Try again?
The also ran from Black Panther
What did I say?
from Namor.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Namor the also ran from Black Panther.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's tough because I think Namor is so good in Black Panther, and I also think the work that Marvel did to make a new spin on the character is kind of so much better in terms of quality work than what was done for Aquaman. But Aquaman is has been real leading man material in his movie universe and his franchise, and Namor just never got his chance. He had a little bit of like a I'm one of the cool inner circle X-Men and Illuminati back in the day, and I was always waiting for his solo book that made him seem really cool. But like, here's the thing, Namor, especially comics Namor, and I know we're looking at kind of all versions of these characters. Like, we're looking at the movie version, but like the comic version counts too. comic Namor right now is somebody who Marvel gleefully is like, he fucks fish. Like, he fucks large fish women. And Aquaman is like, this studly bro also runs the Sea Empire, but don't worry, he would never fuck a fish.
He has money invested in Patty's Sea Wharf. Like,
Yeah.
he is one of the cool guys.
Yeah. So, and I'm kind of like, I vote for the fish fucker, but I get how the world as a whole maybe is leaning more Khal Drogo underwater.
Can we talk about how they're both, I guess, canonically over 300 pounds? That's a little
Yes.
weird.
Yeah.
My God, you guys, these fact pages, I included them because some of these fact pages, the factoids on them, the way that we would look at them now, there is no consistency. And then there's some stuff where I'm like, I try to think about how this would work. I don't ever think that, say, Captain America and Jubilee are going to get into a fist fight. But I just think about the weight they give for those two characters. And what if? So my sister one time was hanging out with a friend of hers who was a Marine on leave, and he was really drunk and she was really drunk. And anyway, he was demonstrating a really cool punch as my sister was dancing across the room. And he hit my sister so hard, she flew backward and had to go to the ER. And they stayed best friends for like many, many years to come. But so like Captain America could one day accidentally throw a punch and hit Jubilee in the face. And based on these numbers, she'd shatter to death.
And we don't want that.
No, different kind of fireworks.
So what are people's votes?
So, I guess we're talking about if this was made today, who would win, or who do we want to win? Because there's a difference.
For me, I'm asking myself who would win. Like Marvel, DC, they're going at this. They're across the table. DC's like, you really think we're gonna let Aquaman lose to Black Panther 2's sort of villain?
Got it. Okay. So, can we get the pejorative, the pedantic? It depends on the writer. Yes, we know that. We're playing fun.
Exactly.
We're having fun here.
Yep.
Yeah.
For my money and my understanding of both characters, I unfortunately think Aquaman clears Namor. I think part of it is because DC likes to scale their heroes and their villains more than Marvel does in terms of powers. So Aquaman has a lot more going for him comparative to Namor. So I do think that because Aquaman just has a little bit more in his repertoire, he kind of clears Namor. But can we? I don't know enough about Aquaman, but like, can this also be Namor's super juiced by the Phoenix Force?
I mean, no.
Ooh.
Like, I hear
I
you,
agree.
and I hear the question, but then, like, theoretically, then Aquaman also has a black ring.
Oh.
A black ring.
Oh my
A
God.
black ring. And I really appreciate that TK knew exactly where I was going to go because I'm one kind of faggot.
Well, and that was kind of their,
And it's so good. Sorry.
they started to add little extra rings here and there, the way we broke the Phoenix into 5 pieces. And then, they did it before Jason Aaron, but everybody got a ring the same way everybody got to be the Phoenix for a little bit.
You get a ring, and you get a ring, and you get a ring.
You get the Phoenix Force.
Everybody gets the Phoenix Force in a ring. But yeah, that aside, Aquaman.
Who among us has seen any single minute of footage from an Aquaman film? I'm just curious.
I haven't seen
Are we
any
counting
Aquaman
trailers?
footage, but
Yeah,
I've definitely
okay.
seen a
No.
bunch of Justice League movie.
Okay.
I'm
just
none
curious.
Of anything.
The Empire of Namor seems like a very capable, very brutal empire. And just based on what I've seen from the trailers, the Aquaman Empire seems like maybe a bunch of people that can't find their socks without a leader. And then their leader is this jabroni who hangs out with... It's not a Wilson brother. It's the guy from Insidious, right?
No, yeah, it's Patrick Wilson.
That's not a
Yeah.
Wilson brother. It's the vastly
Okay,
superior
yeah.
Wilson. It's the king of all
Yeah.
Wilsons.
Not
Yeah.
Owen?
We don't put Patrick
No.
Wilson. Patrick Wilson does not go on the same list as other people.
Yeah, he's from
No.
Insidious, right?
Yes. Oh no,
Yeah.
he's from Conjuring.
I think
No,
it's
he's
both,
also in
yeah.
Insidious. He's the dad.
Oh
in
my god, is it
Insidious.
really? I'm so
Excuse
sorry.
you,
I-
He's horror
sir.
daddy.
He was
How
in
dare
you.
Insidious first before Conjuring.
Hold on, I actually have all of the rings, so let me go find the ring of shame that I should put on.
You know where the
Um,
ring of shame is.
Uh-oh. So I don't know. I'm just a little bit like this sexy underwater Mesoamerican empire feels a little cooler to me than like the one that Jason Momoa just constantly reluctantly is like, I guess I'll go be a part of it. I don't know,
You will
man.
never be Ocean Master. It's a
I
line.
I feel like I wanna give my vote to Namor, and maybe I'll be the protest vote on this one.
His last name is Mackenzie?
Yes.
Yes, yeah,
That's weird.
It's his dad's name.
yeah. His dad is just a fisherman.
I love that you could read that. Good for you.
2020 vision, mama. That's weird to me.
I mean, yeah, Aquaman's last name is Curry. They're all weird.
Yeah, but he's like
Yeah.
a person. Like
So
in my mind, Aquaman was like a guy
I thought
who
his
like
last name was Arthur Treacher.
Curry has
Uh,
always struck me as the weirdest last name for I don't know why. It's an odd name.
So we
I
gotta
mean-
get some votes in here.
Jonah and I voted Aquaman.
You're both voting Aquaman. All right, Kevo, are we creating a tie or are we?
What do we do if we create a tie? Because I don't like getting wet, so I don't really have a stake in this one.
We make Tori Sheehan type an answer.
Well,
in.
Well,
Yeah,
I will say
what's the
Ali
audience feeling?
Galactic said Namor.
Okay.
Okay, Ali says Namor. I think the audience. I think we might be leaning. If we are going hotness of dude, I am also going Namor. So I think we might be leaning toward Namor. Namor for winged feet, says Ali Galactic. I love that. Thank you.
I really do. I do agree. I'm not much of a feet guy, but if you throw a pair of wings on there, I could get into it.
All right, so then let's put in that vote and get to our second round.
Yeah.
Here's one that I'm willing to die on a cleansing funeral pyre.
Oh yeah. I'm where this is. I don't
don't even understand why DC let this happen. First of all, that this is an editorial win for Elektra is spectacular. The way she wins is really cool.
I mean, don't you kind of get it for this era?
I don't actually, because like at this point for me, Catwoman's about to have the Batman, No Man's Land, Hush kind of, identity crisis, final crisis trajectory.
But that's in like another almost 10 years because this is 95. That's
That's
2004.
like 2003, like that she's on that trajectory by. Whereas Elektra at this point, she's in one book. But
So-
like, I'm thrilled. I'm not
Yeah,
arguing.
no, I know. I'm trying to situate the thing because, like, to me, from what I know, it just feels like Catwoman, while a lot more recognizable and consistent from years of Batman publishing and the Batman TV show, and by this point, the Tim Burton Batman Returns film, Elektra really had some iconic Frank Miller work by this point. Not a lot else, but I think one concentrated just like she is the woman run, where like Catwoman, it felt a little more up in the air to me. And then it's like from here on out, they do kind of go in separate directions for a while, where just nobody ever writes Elektra as well, as consistently, as like, committed to the idea that she is one of the greats. And Catwoman, ultimately really becomes Bruce's OTP, becomes a really good anti-hero. She's kind of, one of the big disappointments in Marvel is that anytime Emma Frost is the least bit bad now, it's always a bit to lure villains. She's never actually that morally questionable. Even the morally questionable things she does are trolley problem morally questionable, and she's always trying to save kids or do the right thing.
It's always killing the baby Hitler.
Catwoman has really good, like, oh no, she actually, like, has a bit of a, like, I still want to do crime streak to her. So anyway, my point being, I feel like I get why at this time it felt like Elektra.
I'll go for that. You know, JoJo, coming at it from this side of time, do you see Catwoman as treated with the same value that an Elektra is?
No, because Batman's not allowed to eat her out.
Jesus.
I'm not. Heroes don't do that, Kevy.
It's part of the conversation. You're not wrong. It is a joke being made, but it does, even as a joke, speak to a lot of the attitude that these characters are treated with. And when you get down to it and you think about Catwoman, the way she is then considered and given power. And that's dumb because you know that Matthew Murdock is definitely a good little subby boy and does whatever Mommy Elektra says. So that makes her a lot more powerful a character in her universe in that way.
I can only imagine that there's this moment in time where Matt goes, I can sense your need. And like,
some werewolf shit. Oh yeah.
It's a thing. I
can feel your heat.
I want to say that very clearly. I am on Team Elektra here. I think Elektra is Jean Grey levels of the perfect character. So I think Elektra should win through and through. Where I am guffawed is I'm shocked that DC caved on this. It just seems like Batman's female counterpart would need to be treated a little bit better than Daredevil's female counterpart when Daredevil didn't even appear.
Word.
They might have had to make a concession somewhere else. They might have thought, we really need this person to win this. We're willing to let Catwoman flop. Let's face it, she is a flop. No, I'm just playing.
No, I mean, truly, Batman Returns made less money. The Catwoman movie was ultimately less successful. I didn't even know that this actually happened. This Catwoman. I had to look her up to discover.
Oh, she's in the most recent Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson.
I mean, because it looked like this.
Yeah, it looks like she's ready to go to a ski party.
It's a little... Listen, it is what it is. It's fine. I will watch The Batman at some point because I've heard things about it, so I will watch it.
It's so boring.
But, you know, I think of Elektra, and I think of Elektra, you know, my most recent memory getting Black, White, and Blood. Right? No, Black, White, and Red? Or is it Black, White, and Blood?
Blood.
It is Blood. Blood. Black, White, and Blood. Thinking about her in what was the thing with her and like Emma?
Devil's Reign X-Men.
So like Marvel's putting a lot of stock, even now to this day, with Elektra and with Daredevil Born Again coming out at some point in the foreseeable future. We're going to be getting the MCU version of her at some point, very, very more than likely. I cannot say what DC is doing over on their side. They're doing something. They can't say
what they're doing.
They can't say what they're doing either. I
just want to say, I hope that if MCU does incorporate Elektra, it is Elodie Young from the Daredevil series. She was flawless. Just adding to your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to vote Elektra. I do not know if Catwoman. I think even if Catwoman has the general cultural osmosis, I still think Elektra wins.
I think Elektra wins here.
I want to give it to Elektra. It's funny because they're doing a lot of the same stuff, but it feels like, you know, like they did the wedding of Batman and Catwoman. and Matt and Elektra recently got ritually married in a weird way, which I actually was surprised Marvel didn't make a bigger deal out of as just like a way to sell covers.
How didn't Vera Wang design a hell dress?
May
Yeah,
I
I mean,
ask a
especially
question?
yeah.
Is there a reason they went with Elektra over Black Cat? Do they not want the like direct comparison?
The truth is, at this point, Black Cat is not really the character that she is now. She is one of many also ran female love interests for Spider-Man, and there was a cultural general reluctance to use Black Cat following the unceremonious divorce of her from the Spider-Man girlfriend role. She had been Spider-Man's girlfriend for 5 years, leading up to Stan Lee deciding to marry Mary Jane and Peter Parker in the pages of the Spider-Man Sunday morning cartoon strip because he legally had the right to. And Marvel said they would not let Spider-Man get married and it not be in the comics. So they asked Stan Lee to work with them and married Peter Parker to Mary Jane Watson, who he had not been with in 5 years, who had appeared 3 times in 5 years, out of nowhere, breaking him up with Black Cat very suddenly. Following
This is
that,
then?
this is 10 years before this.
Okay.
Following
And
that,
then this is Fallout.
Marvel was very gun shy about properly using Black Cat until roughly when Black Cat would resurface in the pages of Kevin Smith's Black Cat, The Evil That Men Do, in 2006, 2007. So,
Very interesting.
my poor Felicia.
All right, I think we want Electra Nachos.
She's having her come up time now.
This one's tough. Is there a way?
I don't think this
I
one
don't
is
think
tough.
this one is tough personally.
Well, no. This one's tough because there's no way that they would ever let Quicksilver have something more powerful than
Yeah,
the Speed
Quicksilver.
Force. But the problem is, I don't know that they're putting that much money in Flash right now. Like, as a corporation, they're avoiding the Flash.
Yes, but there is an event called Flashpoint, which changed the DC universe forever. And there is an event called Son of M, which we do our best to forget. I mean, Quicksilver, I love Quicksilver probably more than most people. Quicksilver has a line in one of the X Factor visits to Leonard Sampson for therapy that he's like, everybody hates me and nobody hates me more than myself. And it's just a line that has stuck with me forever. I love Quicksilver as a character. He is not somebody that Marvel cares about a lot or knows what to do with. He's in a relationship with M right now that makes no sense. You know, he's always just like, why is Pietro there? Yeah, exactly. He's not as cool as Wanda. He looks very hot in Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Steve Orlando writes him well, and he's a dude, so that's better. But Pietro doesn't matter. The Flash matters a lot, even if due to Ezra Miller being a weird garbage person, the Flash is sort of a difficult thing for DC to touch for the next little while. I think that'll change very soon after the James Gunn verse starts picking up steam, or crashing and burning entirely. You just never know with DC at this point. But my vote is absolutely for the Flash on this one.
You know, Jonah, one of the things that I know is that you might have a realistic Flash cosplay in my closet. And while you are by no means the fastest boy alive, you stay with us all 2 hours, 3 hours of every episode, and you hang in. I do feel like in some ways, the Flash's financial caveat maybe means that he was, in fact, only successful as a result of the CW's Flash. Are you in that group of people that jumped off when Grant Gustin got gusted away? Or are you sticking around for the DCEU, even though the EU of the Flash these days?
More like PU. No, I am much more familiar with Flash via Teen Titans, Wally West, in that version of Kid Flash where he made a couple of appearances and then he got with Jinx and it was the best thing in the entire world and they're still together. Anyway, when it's not a Teen Titans show.
Anytime you want.
Even before that, the Flash has this kind of main staying power, and I did not know really until a lot more of like the Flash movie was like coming out to understand like how powerful the Flash is. The Flash is arguably the strongest, from what I understand, and I can be completely wrong, is like one of, if not the strongest people in the DC universe, like canonically one of the most powerful. The way that he can like turn back time, right?
I mean, anybody who's got a the is sort of in the same category. So the red, the green, the Speed Force, anybody with a the is sort of in that same level. But that means like I'm saying like the Flash, Swamp Thing, and Animal Man are like on par with Death. So yeah, you are really talking about a force of nature.
Yeah.
And it's really it's hard because as much as you can enjoy Quicksilver, I unfortunately think Quicksilver is completely overshadowed by his nephew as Speed as being the more interesting version of him. I don't know, as long as his character has been around in the Marvel oeuvre for so long, I sometimes feel like they don't put a lot of stock into him comparative to his sister Wanda. And that's not exactly fair because Wanda gets a lot. Because a lot of times she was a plot device for a really long time before they were like, no, this is a woman. We have to treat her like a person. I don't know if Marvel actually believes a lot in Quicksilver's iconography and power. So like it's really hard to really want to justify a vote for him when it's the Flash is so integral to DC compared to Quicksilver to Marvel is kind of like dropping him.
Legitimately, like they dropped him faster than CBS dropped Jimmy the Greek. Kevo, what is your I'm allowed to make topical 1986 references. Shush, Tasty Cake. Shush. My smile just means that I am being boyish, roguish, and charming.
Facetious.
Kevo, do you have any opinion other than, I mean, kind of like, you know, Flash, even though they just flushed the entire project down with their lead actor choice, he's still Flash.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. If you prefer, think of the John Wesley Shipp version. And there you go. Bob's your uncle.
No, John's my dad.
Yeah, exactly. John's your dad. John is Dawson's dad, and we love it. And you know, Quicksilver is interesting. They've gotten a lot of fun use out of him in a lot of weird ways, especially WandaVision. That was a fun little trick, wasn't it? Thanks, guys. But yeah, it's the Flash. I don't know that I knew Quicksilver existed when I was a kid. I think I used to get him confused with Northstar.
I was going to make a joke about how it's the lightning version of the Maple Leaf. I was literally going to make a joke about how Quicksilver is always dressed like an Alpha Flight member who's just a little too fast.
Yeah. So.
All right. This is the first one where I am kind of like, I'm willing to put out there that I am guaranteeing you I have read more Batman issues than the rest of this panel combined at like probably about 400 Batman issues in my life. This is tough. This is really tough because I've probably read about 400 Jubilee issues in my life. Not every Batman issue I've read has had Robin in it, but every Jubilee issue I've read has had Jubilee. And so it makes that trade-off really difficult. We're talking about Robin, who is, you know, when I call JoJo my boy wonder, like, you know, I'm saying that guy who can do anything Batman can do, but just a couple of inches shorter. He has the same bench numbers. It's just he doesn't have the same reps. Like, it's tough because Batman can definitely take down Superman. Are you telling me that Jubilee can take down Superman? So then couldn't Robin take down Jubilee? It's tough. I'm the fence vote here. I don't know what to do.
Here's what I will put forth.
Please put.
Robin is a brand and an identity that 4 different people have taken and put their spin on, and it means something to be a Robin. It means that you have become the ward and, the trainee of Bruce Wayne, one of the greatest warriors in the DC universe, one of the greatest detectives. It means that you will go on to do things. To be Jubilee is to have been one of many Wolverine surrogates that doesn't get the same, Wolverine looks after you, but when Natasha calls and tells him to go to Madripoor, Jubilee stays at home and, does nothing. Jubilee has gone through so many phases from that little girl who is supposed to be 13 and not a warrior 13 and is about to get killed, can have a Hail Mary fireworks toss, but is not a warrior.
Is a Caitlin Cooper 13, not a Sokka 13.
Not a
Precisely.
Katniss Everdeen 13.
And then we get, by that second Generation X Christmas issue, she is a little bit more plausibly okay, she can hold her own in a supervillain fight, but she is not one of the X-Men heavy hitters. And she kind of languishes in that space until Vampire Time. And then we get a whole new version of Jubilee, but who is a vampire. So that goes by the wayside when we do Hoxpox and just get rid of it.
Can I just say that is actually the curse of being Wolverine's protege?
Yeah.
Kitty Pryde.
vampire?
Kate Pryde, stuck in phased form.
Yep.
Rogue, can't be touched.
Yep.
Rachel Gray, lost in the time stream.
Yep.
If you have
The
ever
only one, it's just Armor, and it's only because they don't give Armor any screen time.
That's actually Armor's, Armor's plot armor.
Stuck off
for being
panel.
interesting. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can make the same argument for Tempest.
Yes.
I do just want to say this argument would be totally different. Jason Todd has proved that he will literally be able to cut the sun open and bleed it dry. Nightwing is one of the greatest fighters in fictional history. So Dick Grayson is a completely. It's just I can't. I would have.
No, I mean I'm saying but I also Damian is bred.
Damian is literally flawless.
Yeah, he is bred to be a warrior who is an expert at 10. So ultimately, even though Jubilee is my homegirl and I love her, and in a who's a cooler story, who's a cooler character, who do I want to hang out with more matchup, I'm picking Jubilee every time. Who do I want to get a solo book? Jubilee. Whose team do I want to hang out with more? Jubilee. But who would win in a matchup fight? It's Robin. It's of course Robin. And I think even Jubilee would be I would rather be Jubilee and know that a Robin can kick my ass than have had the life that these fucking kids have had and be one of them.
Hang from a trapeze? No way! I just want to hang out at the arcade.
She's somebody's mom now. Editors at Marvel, please remember this as well and tell us what happened to that fucking baby.
I'm sorry. No, Marvel
No,
would have
you
to
mean the
make a
dragon?
decision. Yeah, I was about to say Marvel would have to make a decision about mystical creatures being its versus people first.
True.
Jonah, you are Staten Island's answer to Jubilee. How do you feel?
Was that a compliment or an insult?
Oh, I'm telling you
That's
right
gonna
now.
be my new Twitter header. Such as Staten Island's answer to Jubilee.
That's
telling
what he
you right
says
now.
when he walks into the workroom.
It is 2,000% the sexiest thing I could have possibly said. How do you feel about this? And also, I'm so sorry. Yes, in a moment, but TK, can we just give it up for the fact that this is what she's immortalized in? She's immortalized in the Gen X outfit. It's not they didn't switch her back to the X-Men
I'm
outfit
making this
for
face.
no
That's what my
reason.
little guy is based off of.
I because this felt like the thing at the time. That's a whole other debate in terms of I also think it's wild that it was X-Men versus Titans when it could have been Gen X versus Teen Titans.
You mean at the time?
No, just in life, because I know it's totally different timings.
It was 1982.
Yeah, it's totally different timings.
So Jojo, Staten Island Jubes, talk to me as Jobs, as it were. I don't care for Jobs.
I don't care for Jobs. This is a really tough one because in terms of raw power, I'm pretty sure especially at this point, Jubilee is much more stronger and powerful, especially when she does have these fireworks that she can. But you look at Tim as Robin, and this can kind of go for, any Robin, really. I did not realize he was 5'3". That's hysterical that he's shorter than her. We love a short king.
Ooh.
That's number one. Number two, there's because I know enough about Batman, a lot of that training has to come down to the Robin as well, because that's his partner in crime, and your partner in crime cannot be lacking. I know canonically Batman has a plan of action in case any other member of the Justice League of America goes rogue and bag, and how to take them down. And is this a case scenario of, does Tim have enough time to prep? Or is Tim supposed to be on his feet figuring out a plan? Because I think those two things are different. Granted, you can make that argument for anybody who has enough time to prep. But what is Jubilee going to do to prep? Sit down with Jono and eat dumplings because that's cool?
I don't know. Every verse king I've ever met always has time to prep.
True.
And ask your doctor about prep. Not sponsored, by the way.
Yet.
Truvada, never. There's nothing there. But it's hard because is a lot of this merit that we want to ascribe to Tim because of the name of Robin, or is it because of his own specific identity as the Robin? I don't know enough about Tim in that regard, outside of he's one of the the current bisexual kings of DC, but it's hard to pick someone like this Robin, because like you said, it'd be different if it was Damian, if it was Jason or Dick. Those ones, I think the matchup is clear enough that you're like, okay, that Robin wins. But
Also,
it's him.
Stephanie would also. Stephanie would lose, but not because she's the girl. She would lose because
Oh, I mean, yeah, but also, I also find it fascinating. I guess I'm also thinking of this matchup, and like this is a very weird matchup for me in my eyes, because I know not to be like the girls have to verse the girls, but like Batgirl, like I feels like they needed to use Robin. DC wasn't going to let Robin lose, so Marvel was like, okay, yeah, Jubilee, and kind of just pick somebody.
I think
Ultimately,
she's the biggin.
I ultimately have to give it to Robin. But, or do I agree that if we're looking at, at this now, Jubilee power level wise is much better, is much stronger. It's tough. I do see what you mean saying. This one I do think is a little bit tough. I think Robin slightly edges it out by virtue of being a Robin.
All right. So, Kevy, I think, the vote has been voted for you. I am so sorry, Ali Galactic. Ali Galactic, you are a Jubilee level. I'm so sorry. I was going to call you a Jubilee level force in this world, but a man whose name alone takes my breath away popped up in the comment section, and now I'm woozy and I'm dizzy. It is X's for Show's own Dante, and I could not be more thrilled to see that incredible name. Hey, handsome, what a human being. Made my night. Yeah, I completely agree with all of this. So Kevo, to my question to you, do you have a vote that could maybe sway somebody to change, or are you in the Robin category?
No, I think that I am specifically in the category of the arguments that have been made, which is we all love Jubilee and think she is much better, but Robin unfortunately wins this. It's like that thing that I always say about the book version of Quentin from the Magicians versus the TV version. The book version would kick the TV version's ass, but the TV version has friends, so like I'd rather hang out with that one. We'd rather hang out with Jubilee, but that's not the name of this game, and so we are going to go with Robin.
All right, so this is where we change costumes. I just want to say that I can't help but agree. Kyle Rayner would lose, unfortunately, to Silver Surfer. And in part, that's because there's only one Silver Surfer and he has the power cosmic. However, the nature of Green Lanterns has to do with creativity and mental power. And so to that end, my frustration is that when you're talking about Green Lanterns, you could have really picked a perhaps stronger competitor. I don't know that you could have picked a better for the period fighter, but Jon Stewart would in just 4 years time become a JLA mainstay. At this point, Guy Gardner is already hyper representative of alpha masculinity in toxic ways that would have been interesting to see against the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer is at this point undefeated except by people along the lines of a Galactus level, and Kyle Rayner is a punchline. This is not the moment for a character that I love as much as I love Kyle Rayner. This is unfortunately, this is just because he recently inherited the role. This is because he just took over following the Parallax incident, and this is just not a fair matchup. There is no question Silver Surfer, even today, would put Kyle Rayner in the dust. Green Lantern as a whole, that's a very different conversation. That's a very different discussion. But, man, Kyle Rayner never stood a chance. And I'm going to finish my transformation into Sinestro in just 2 seconds. Guys, please. Oh, yeah. All right, you guys talk.
Yeah, the biggest thing I feel like is Nico's correct that at this time the Silver Surfer was really undefeated and felt like a big deal. Kind of post 2000s, the Silver Surfer really went out of vogue, and the idea of it even starts a little bit before this, like just when the M'Kraan crystal cannibalizes the universe and like Onslaught, it starts to we start to have some big power creep at Marvel in terms of Galactus not really feeling like a huge threat, and that takes us all the way up into like meeting the Beyonders in the lead up to Hickman's Secret War, and it's just gotten to the point, we did AXE and met the Celestial, the judging Celestial. We've just had so many cosmic entities and events. We're doing gods right now, where it just seems like now the Silver Surfer isn't so special, and we've gotten other heralds of Galactus. We have people like Cosmic Ghost Rider, who almost comes off like a little bit of a punchline at times. So the Silver Surfer in and of himself, cool character, like right now, as of today, cool character, often very powerful, but you could never really convince me that nobody can take him. Not in the current world of Marvel. And it just seems like by comparison, what has been established is that Green Lantern power is really basically limitless. It is just based, on imagination, and it is based on how the power is wielded. And we've been introduced, as time has gone on, to far more interesting constructs created by Green Lanterns and other lanterns as well. And far greater feats of power, where like for Silver Surfer, it's kind of become what happens when you're just a guy that has the powers of a god. It's much more interesting to do like what happens when Mike Allred draws you and you do like a planetary European road trip. So he's not really doing, I'm the most powerful guy, none of you. He doesn't show up in he does show up in King in Black, but like he doesn't show up in any event to be like, I'm here to save the day. I'll kill the judging Celestial because I'm so powerful I could. He's not really around at all for any of the big events. And when he is around, he doesn't stop the thing, where Green Lanterns are always like a big part of what stops the thing. So, I'm voting Green Lantern for today, for sure.
You might have swayed me. I hear it.
Just when was, can you tell me the last time you saw a Silver Surfer feat where you were like, holy shit?
Silver Surfer's feet?
They're right there. He's got Liefeld feet, like by design. Everybody's like, there's no toes.
No, I mean it's just like a ballet shoe. You know
it's
what
permanent boots. But when was the last?
this is-
Look, he's showing
Prison.
feet for reals.
Prison.
When
Jail.
was the last time you saw a Silver Surfer knock it out
Upsetting.
of the park in an event, in a crossover?
I mean? You know what? I guess what I'm hearing from you is it doesn't really matter if it's Kyle Rayner, Jon Stewart, Guy Gardner, Jess Cruz, Kat Matui, or Toma Ray. Like whoever the Green Lantern is has the caveat of the name Green Lantern, but there aren't other Silver Surfers. There's Norrin Rad, the Silver Surfer. There's other Heralds of Galactus.
But again, as I was saying, all of them kind of suck too. Cosmic Ghost Rider was super powerful when introduced, so that it would be like, who's gonna stop him? And now he's a joke. It's the whole point is like, oh, Frank has gone crazy and went to space.
All right, you know what? I'm even going to go a step further. I would say just about any lantern of the major lanterns, your green, red, yellow, pink, right? And of course, I pick my rings. I know who my lanterns are. I'm a Star Sapphire Sinestro guy. Get out of my way. I completely agree. I think there really is something to be said about how they've repositioned them with multiple crossovers throughout the DC universe. Blackest Night, Brightest Day, the Lantern Corps itself, the multiple titles like Red Lanterns, Sinestro Corps, Sinister Sons, which currently features my favorite character in the DC universe, Sinestro's kid. He's the best. I think that's a fair assessment. What do you guys think about me being convinced to think that the Green Lantern is great?
Wasn't
I
ever
didn't
going to
think you'd
happen
be convincing
otherwise.
of that one. I think you just wanted a reason. I hear what you're saying. I unfortunately disagree, and I think it goes to Silver Surfer.
Talk about why. Why you say no Green Lantern? Why you give it to Silver Surfer? Tell me why the color switch.
I think because, well, yes, I understand a lot of the Green Lanterns at by themselves, even outside of the Corps, are very strong in and of themselves and only really held back by the limitation of their imagination and their belief in their own power set. But I think because Silver Surfer is such a cosmic threat, even regardless of Galactus, I think it's hard that a singular Green Lantern would be the Silver Surfer in and of itself by himself. I think also there's a lot to do with how Silver Surfer deals with cosmicness and cosmic energies, and I think it would be hard for a Green Lantern to really kind of make a dent in a fight with the way the Silver Surfer interacts with those cosmic energies.
That is how he wins. Specifically, that is how Silver Surfer wins. When Green Lantern and Silver Surfer collide, Green Lantern just can't process the energy, and Silver Surfer is literally unfazed. So Kyle is like floating unconscious in space, and Silver Surfer's like, "Oh, that's really sad." And like, it's so silly, but it's exactly how they do it. You have a very strong grasp on the situation.
That phrase sounds like one of those thrash songs that we keep singing. Process the energy!
All right, so it sounds like 2 votes Silver Surfer, 1 vote. I'm sorry, so Werf. Sounds like 2 votes Green Lantern, 1 vote Silver Surfer. Kevo, are you going to make it 2 votes Silver Surfer?
No, I think I want to lean Green Lantern too. I might be putting some personal feelings in there. I've never been especially impressed with Silver Surfer. I've always felt like this is one of those things where, are we sure this isn't reversed? Are we sure the guy on the surfboard isn't a DC concept and that the power rings aren't a Marvel concept, or with like the lantern? And are we sure? So, yeah.
All right, sounds like 3 Green Lantern votes gives me what I want. So let's keep trucking. Let's hit a vote that I am both unsurprised by and you couldn't convince me would change today. First of all, while this is the fugliest version of Thor.
I was gonna say, what a rude fucking photo of Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah, no. I want to say Dan Hedaya as Captain Marvel is
Yes.
absolutely amazing. Shit,
Shit, get in here!
you going out like that? I love that we both went for that. Anyway, Gunnar Nelson as Thor is also fine. And God, that's why I love you. You're so fucking crazy. So with this Thor is garbage. This Thor
Wrong. Incorrect opinion. Continue.
This Thor is fucking Enchantress.
This is an incredible redesign. It is of a time. It is of an era. It is Mugler meets.
No, actually, yes. I could. Terry Mugler.
I was gonna say it's Mugler meets Tom of Finland.
Epic. That
yeah.
is Tom of
So
Finland.
say it.
It's this is actually, it's so unsung. It makes me sad. It deserves more love. I think it's such a good look.
I think it is
Oh, I have
uniquely
that.
stupid in a very special way, but
Yes.
I understand why you love it for that reason.
Yes.
You know, I have a couple of costumes that I am special for in that way.
Yeah.
Number one, I think Zach Levy is of a special kind of beautiful man. He is a handsome that very few men get to be, which is agelessly handsome. You compare that to the literal sack of testosterone that is Chris Hemsworth, and that's when, like, this comparison is what creates incels. You know what I mean? Zach Levy is a beautiful, sweet man, and Shazam is a beautiful, sweet concept, and Thor fucks. And that is the difference between these two identities on every level. I don't mean that about Zachary Levy at all. And, you know, we know as a fact from interviews that Chris Hemsworth is actually a much more shy gentleman than he lets on through his, very brag-based personas. But on every level, Thor is a big, strong, strapping man, and Captain Marvel is the cute kids movie. And there is no competition here. It's Thor all the way. Marvel would not let Thor lose a fight to Superman at this point. They would pull out of the crossover first.
Yeah, and I mean, the Shazam movies are, yeah, you said it's a cute kids movie, but the Thor experience has done everything from, really campy superhero origin to like total flop to two incredible sequel films with awesome guest appearances, spin-off shows.
Hold on. Ali Galactic just said the single most true statement of all time. The only person that goes on the Jean Grey Elektra list in the entirety of the Marvel Universe for me is Jane Foster, who is literally easily the third most important character in the entire Marvel Universe. Phoenix, Elektra, Jane Thor. She could kill every fucking person on this list just because she is the best version of Valkyrie ever. I cannot stop. Thank you. I got it out of the way. I'm so sorry. TK, please continue.
100%. And like the other point is like great people have been Thors, where like the other Shazam adjacent people are weird and I don't care about them.
Mary Marvel, leave her alone.
Boo. Mary Marvel versus
Mary.
Storm. Mary Marvel versus Storm. Storm hits her in the face one time with an open fist, not with the hammer, and she crumbles because she is a child. There's no contest. It's Thor's all the way down.
I feel like anytime Oprah wants to fight anybody, instead of actually fighting them, she just summons up the Oprah versus Lance Armstrong interview. And it's just, she asks questions and the person says horrible truths and withers and dies on camera.
That's the power of the Oprah Force.
That's the power of Pine Sol, baby.
Jojo, how do you feel?
Please.
Which one of these boys gets mopped?
Captain Marvel, also known as Shazam. Because he doesn't even have that name anymore. They stole the name, and he lost.
But look how they have to put DC in parenthesis so you know exactly who it is. I just want to say that anybody who doesn't know, Jeff Smith wrote the single most special magical Captain Marvel story ever, and not enough people take the time out of their life to read it.
I mostly disagree with your assessment, Nico. At this point, Marvel's belovedness of Thor is too great for them to see him lose to someone like you said, I do think they probably would be like, if there was a Thor versus Superman, they'd be like, no, because if Thor's
Nope.
not winning, we're not doing it, and DC's
Yep.
not going to let Superman lose.
Yep.
So it's just not happening. I'm not fully enough familiar with the character of Shazam, Captain Marvel, whatever you want to know him as, to really kind of gauge like, oh, would he actually win in a fight against Thor or not? Based off of the cultural stuff that I follow, there was an argument for Shazam beating Carol. So
Yes.
that's some level of power scale that I can kind of understand. But I think Thor would beat Carol. So I guess Thor still wins.
Yes. All of this is correct. I just want to say that I really do agree with, like, it can be tough to always navigate the who beats who, and then that means they beat who. I know I fall into that trap a lot. It's an easy trap to get caught up in, especially because these versus worlds, they play out in rapid time. You'll see a villain show up in the pages of Thor, and then 2 months later, they'll show up in the pages of X-Men, and then 2 months after that, Avengers, and it's different outcomes all the way down. Kevo, when I pass it to you, I just want to say one more time, Jeff Smith's Shazam is one of my favorites. I specifically recommend Jeff Smith's Shazam and Shazam First Thunder. Those are the two that I really push on people if they want to read some Captain Marvel. But for those who don't recognize, Jeff Smith is the genius behind Bone, one of the most significant comic series of the last 100 years. And everybody should give a little bit more respect to this guy. Kevo, do you have a stake in the Shazam situation now that you know that Jeff Bone graced us with... I said Jeff Bone, but I meant Jeff Smith of Bone graced us with Shazam. Bye.
This is my copy of the Bone Omnibus that sits on my nightstand with my copy of Russell T. Davis's The Writer's Tale and my copy of The Watcher's Guide from Jonah. So big fan, big fan. This is another one where I immediately agree with what everyone is saying. I only want to say, I love that up here, Thor's got this flossiness that's why there's these tendrils of hair. That's why he's got that going on. But over here, it's just that it's Captain Marvel's cape, but it looks like hair ribbons going in the breeze. And I keep seeing this where he looks like that from a distance. And it's really bugging the hell out of me.
I also just want to say Captain Marvel, way ahead of his time. Bottom daddy, thick man, your time.
Oh, yeah.
Coming.
Look at him.
You will be so popular in 20 years. Just hang on. You'll have an OnlyFans and everything will be better.
Earl Chambers over here.
Right? I just want to say, whereas Thor, long hair, beastly daddy man, you're going to have a hard time. But don't worry. Inexplicably, Aquaman is going to bail you out. Occupy Asgard. All right, so let's talk about our next... Oh, I'm sorry, we definitely said Thor here. Yeah, let's talk about our next lineup. And what's so weird here is these are the ones that were determined by fan vote. I truly believe that Marvel did not think all of these were going to go these ways. I don't know if Marvel thought they were going to win Hulk versus Superman or Captain America versus Batman. I think they thought enough rednecks would come out or something, or enough juice heads would be like, no, Hulk's bigger. No. I'm going to say something very unconventional. I think that DC would nowadays consider letting Superman lose. I think they would say that actually shows a humongous amount of growth for the character, recognizing that the character has limitations and things he simply cannot overcome. I think the strength of Superman is his humanity. I think the right opponent, they would let Superman lose. Thor, perhaps. I think they would consider letting Superman lose. Hulk, no. I don't think they'd let Superman lose to Hulk. Not in a million years.
I agree.
But general loss? Maybe.
Mostly I agree. But yes, so from what I understand, part of the reason for Flashpoint and for the increasing recognition of the Speed Force as being like a fundamental piece of the universe, was that they were doing too many Superman races the Flash and wins situations, and they needed to establish that no, Superman cannot be all powerful just because he's their most iconic character. He has to lose to people like the Flash, who are just faster than he is.
There's a general power creep reset.
Yeah, there have to be people that are stronger than he is, etc. Superman is powered by Earth's sun, and Hulk is powered by, apparently now a door that leads into hell. I only think that Hulk might win because the Hulk mythology of the One Below All has gotten to a place that is close to the Speed Force.
Okay.
And they might just say, this is one where I think there are other fights where if we were going to go by, Marvel has done a lot more like, hey, here's why all of our characters are more complicated. And it's actually what makes Quicksilver uniquely, clearly despised, is that despite the fact, despite the fact that we've switched up what makes Wanda and Pietro have superpowers, Wanda got powered up because of it, because they were like, she is the Darkhold embodied in human form. She is limitlessly powerful. And they would have figured out how to do it if she was still a mutant. Regardless of any of those things, they were like, Pietro's just fast. No one knows why. We couldn't begin to tell you why. And also, who gives a shit? Northstar is basically this fast too. Andy's gay. Go for that guy instead. So, like, the fact that they have not figured out a reason why Pietro is uniquely, fundamental part of the universe, we could slip this somehow into God's powerful, is just proof that they don't give a shit about him. The Hulk now is part of that thing where, like, he gets his powers from the Marvel cosmogony in a way that means that he could at any point show up in the heavens and be like, here's how I am tied to the beginning of the universe. Superman is a super powerful dude and what makes us all great at our cores, but like, I could see him losing. My vote, I think, might be for Hulk. Actually, no, my vote is for Superman because it's one of those things where Banner would stand down. Banner would assert himself to, like, because he would see that Superman is.
So wait, are you almost, because now I agree with you as well. Are we saying that they would have we get to lose off?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I feel the same, and I feel like they would ultimately be like, fine, Superman wins, fine, another win for Superman, and like they would kind of give in. So that's, Kevo already agreed with our assessment, but do you have more to add?
Can there be like a draw? Can this be a rare one where it ends in a handshake? Like, can they, since we're saying both of those characters we feel would lean chivalrous, can that be the conclusion?
It could, but the bracket can't. So
that's a good point. Oh shoot.
and that's why I think it would be Superman, because ultimately it's not really important that Hulk win, and there's two people in a Hulk, and I think one of them would be like, this is a good guy and I am inside of a fucking monster. There is more of a chance that the Hulk would be in a place where Bruce Banner would be like, I gotta get control and stop him, because Superman is a very good dude and the Hulk is just a rage creature that usually isn't doing anything that great.
Jonah, where do you fall on the debate of the great big strong monster man?
First question. This is saying the Hulk's height is 6'6". Is this talking about Bruce's height? Or is this talking about Hulk's height?
Right?
I promise now the Hulk is 7'6", but
Bruce being a scientific genius at 6'6"? Mama, I could not believe it.
I mean, I just want to point out that when we met you were much smaller. So at this point,
height-wise.
Well, when you get pumped, you get bigger after the gym, and it's sort of like the Hulk is a really good pump for Bruce. It's like a rage pump.
So I think it goes to Superman, but I think it goes to Superman because it kind of has to. The entire point of Superman is that he's indestructible. You can only defeat him by kryptonite. It's literally, and you kind of craft stories about that. What does that mean to be the Man of Steel? The Hulk is not the Man of Steel. Hulk is just gamma radiation and a lot of anger.
Daddy issues, weird naming problems, cooler cousin issues, but really nothing quite compared to Man of Steel for sure. So I guess we're giving this to Superman, pretty across the board. So let's soups it up.
I also thought that said that the Hulk's weight is 1.150, which means his density would be insane, and he'd literally just shoot out of the atmosphere.
Okay. That is not Spider-Girl. That is Ben Reilly. This is literally during the Clone Saga. This is Ben Reilly. Guys, but that's also Connor. That's fuck Prince of the Planet Earth, Connor. That is hottest comic book character ever created. That is guy that Jonah looks like, Connor. That is sexy Prince of all DC, Connor.
That punches the walls of the universe, and somehow that creates one of the crises.
What I just want to say is I hate that this
He had bisexual rage.
I hate that this look is Connor, because this look looks so much like Eradicator, who is also from this time, the reign of the Supermen. I guess I've always been a huge... Okay, rewind. I've always been a huge DC fanboy, but half of my comic collection got ruined by a massive flood in my basement, and I could only afford to restore half of it, and it was either DC or Marvel, and so I just gave up being a huge DC fanboy as well. But the part of it that matters here is, Reign of the Supermen is something I am super familiar with. God, what a handsome gentleman in that.
I can't even.
Really, very handsome gentleman. Good job, Titans. Very good casting.
He's the worst, though.
Well, but so what was tricky? There is no Ben Reilly in live action anything. So here's Andy Samberg as 2 seconds of Ben Reilly in
Ooh, Daddy.
Universe. So this is a clone of Spider-Man versus a clone of Superman. And if you're asking me who would win, Connor or Ben, Connor. If you're asking me who would win, Spider-Man or a clone of Superman in the form of Superboy, oh, Spider-Man all the way. I don't know what they were thinking. This had to be a give me. This had to be DC said, no matter who we put against Spider-Man, they're going to lose. So let's just sacrificial lamb a real sexy boy.
The Jubilee of it all.
The Jubilee of it all. This is dumb, and again, that really, 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 really looks like Pat O'Leary's Spider-Girl down to the titties.
What it truly
Yes.
does. That might be a Pat O'Leary Spider-Man.
It really would not surprise me if that was just Spider-Girl, but they had to knock down the titties just a little bit.
They just kind of.
Yes.
That is those are spider titties.
I know Spider-Man isn't similar to Daredevil, isn't stranger to what I will quote as, not what I believe, quote, feminine poses because of the way that they acrobatically move about. But that straight up does just kind of look like Supergirl. Not Supergirl. Spider-Girl.
Spider-Girl, yeah.
Yeah, where's Supergirl on this list?
I will say that, if we did Spider-Girl versus Supergirl, Spider-Girl would win. If we did Spider-Girl versus Superboy,
I really wanted Power Girl to be on our list of people later, but it turns out more people cosplay Power Girl than she has appearances, and Power Girl is a Supergirl clone, and Supergirl does not fare much better other than Kara. So, God.
I think Spider-Girl would have beat Superboy. Spider-Man, Peter Parker would beat Superboy. And I maybe think Ben Reilly today would beat Superboy from this era, but I'm not sure if Ben Reilly today would beat Superboy of today because so much has happened.
Can we all? I just want to echo Ali Galactic. Can we all just agree that any version of Miles would win?
Yes, yeah.
And that
Yes.
if it was Spider Fam versus Super Fam, somehow Spider Fam would still win.
Well, so here's the thing. At a certain point, your most iconic character has to... Everybody has to take their most iconic characters and figure it out a little bit. There was a gimme with Superman, and I'm going to gimme on the other side and keep this one Spider-Man. This is the most complex one because...
Well, because of the spider tits.
Because the
Yeah.
spider tits, it makes it
I
very difficult. I think Spider Fam beats Super Fam,
Yes.
but I don't think that Bat Fam beats I was gonna say I think that maybe Bat Fam beats the Howlett family.
Just so we're clear, it is Bat Fam X Fam, and X Fam wins, but Bat Fam beats any solo X Fam fam.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do X Fam. I would specifically do the Howletts. I would specifically do Wolverine, Laura, Gabby, and I think I give it to Batman.
Have to.
Yeah. So it's this is the tough one. When it's Elektra versus Catwoman, it is much more like, well, what do we really think about who's doing what and what their power sets are like and how they've been portrayed? But with the iconic ones, there does have to be a little bit of give of like, this is the flagship character of Marvel. This is the only book that sells well when it relaunches. So we got to give it to. I'm giving it to Spider-Man.
All right, Jonah, where do you land as our very own Connor? Are you gonna give it to Connor, or are you gonna give it to TK, aka Ben Reilly?
He's our Connor and our
Flopped in the
Spidey, so
90s.
yeah.
Con or no joke there. I tried. No, I think it would depend. This is one I agree with TK. This is a Spider-Man is Marvel's most iconic, most iconographic, most best-selling property. That
I believe technically the X-Men are actually the all-time best-sellingest comic book property of all time. But as far as solo characters, it is Batman for DC, Spider-Man for Marvel.
yeah, that's more what I meant. Because X-Men, a la Pokemon, because there's so much by virtue of how much they produce, kind of as a conglomerate, outweighs the singulars.
Truly.
This is one that requires a lot more nuance and a lot more that would be a lot closer and would be a lot harder and would really be down to who does the writer like more. But if like TK said, if we're gonna give DC Superman, we kind of have to give Marvel Spider-Man. You kind of have to. You have to each side gets one, and they only get one, and this is kind of their one.
Kevo, what do you think? Are you giving it to Andy Samberg, or are you giving it to the Falcon model over here?
Oh my goodness, I know, right? I know who I'm giving it to, but my vote is going to go to Andy Samberg. I'm not that I wouldn't give it to Andy Samberg too. Make a night of it, but seriously, whether it's Ben or not, on a personal level, I spoke about it a little bit on one of our recent coverages of Spider-Man. I forget which one, where I was talking about my Marvel toys and how I had a Scarlet Spider. So I've always been partial to Ben for that reason, at least his aesthetic. And so, sure, whether it's Spidey, whether it's Ben, I'm in. So we're giving it to the Spider family.
Oh, I mean, this is sort of hysterical.
Right.
Elektra could eat anybody. I think Elektra has magic that allows her to breathe underwater.
So
But I don't think Namor has the telepathy that Elektra has.
let me explain what we're doing next.
Oh,
Just
geez. We're hitting that point of
We're closing
repeat.
out the bracket.
Yeah,
we're closing out this part of the bracket, so we're going to hit up all of the entrants that have been winners so far to get to this side's winner, and then we are going to go over to the other side. So you're voting Elektra. Yeah, sure, I'm also going to vote for Elektra. She would probably just immediately cut off the feet wings, just like they did in Black Panther. And that's it. That's all you got to do.
That shouldn't have been so sexual, but it was.
It was.
Jonah, are you on the correct train or are you voting Namor?
Choo choo, Elektra.
And I just want to be sure because TK, you keep going. I just want to be sure that it's for Elektra. All right. Let's put in the E.
Is there context for Flash versus Robin?
Who would win at Flash? I mean, it's ugly, but Flash.
Definitely Flash.
Flash.
All right, I trust you.
In
I mean-
Brazil, he was known as Flush until 1978.
Huh.
This is tough for me because I understand the levels to which Green Lantern should win, but I think the levels to which Thor should win are greater. Thor controls lightning, and what is lightning but yellow? Like, not to be stupid, but like,
Ooh,
It's-
okay.
it's tough, but like, if it's going to come down to the ring versus the hammer, after 24 hours, the ring will run out of power.
Yeah.
The hammer will not.
Yeah, Uru.
Uru. You just said the word for me. Yes. Uru. Yes.
Yeah, Thor.
Thor. Unfortunately, Thor. Sorry about it. Kyle Rayner is the little brother that I've always wanted, but I'm sorry about it. It's
And
Thor.
there's a lot of individual matchups that I think could go for a Lantern, but we had a Thor core at one point. Thors beat Green Lanterns, I think.
I guess John, I can't in good conscience blindly say Thor would beat John.
Right.
I can't in good conscience blindly say Thor would beat Hal. But
Does
we're talking about Mogo. I mean, Mogo's a planet, so then maybe, but it's tough. Thors are really unbeatable.
here's something to introduce to the context. Does Thor beat Silver Surfer? Do we have context for that?
Yeah, it goes back and forth, but ultimately Thor tends to win
Okay.
because Silver Surfer is an avatar for the power cosmic, but Thor is a god.
Hmm.
Jonah, how do you feel about two characters that you know that I like deity worship?
Yeah, this is inside of you. There are two wolves, and it's Green Lantern and Thor. And this can't be easy for you. I'm going with this one a little bit more of because we didn't go with the lore accurate comic one last time. I'm gonna give it to Thor this time.
Sure.
right. Thor it up.
Ooh, Superman versus Spider-Man. This feels like an all-time classic.
I don't care how wrong I am. What would happen is somehow Spider-Man would in fact summon the Spider-Verse, the Web of Life and Destiny, perhaps
The Spider
my
Force.
all-time. Yeah, yes, perhaps my all-time favorite thing in the history of comics. And I think Superman would take a step back and would look over and put his arm around Jerry Siegel and just be like, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" And just agree not to fight. I don't know. I can't imagine Superman ever choosing to defeat Peter Parker. I can't. But I can't imagine Peter Parker ever stopping in the face of an unstoppable enemy. I can't. It's not about power level. It's about character. This has to go to Peter Parker. It has to. Yes,
Galactic
yes.
says-
Ali Galactic gets it.
Superman would win, but Clark wouldn't beat up a kid either and would let him win.
Exactly. So I have to give it to Spider-Man.
And I think this
away the winner.
This harkens back to a lot of the conversation that we were having during the Superman and Hulk sequence, where we were debating whether Clark would be chivalrous, whether Bruce would demur, and I think in this power dynamic, I do think that Supes, while he might be able to overpower Peter, I think that we do need to take personality into account, and I think that he would probably, in fact, demur. What does everyone else say?
Completely.
So because the matchup might occur later, so maybe I'll save it for if it does potentially get there, or not. We'll see where Peter goes. I give this to Peter. I agree. Clark would see his son. He would see John and Peter and go, "No, I can't hit him. No."
Man, this is the man, what a great time for my DC fandom to be researching. Man, I love what we're talking about Clark so much. Somebody get Kelly. This is so
Roland?
powerful. No, a friend of ours is the biggest Superman fan I've ever met, and she's super cool. TK, where you land on this?
I see where everybody's coming from. The part of me is like, right, but we're talking about who wins in a fight, and Superman wins in a fight.
Agreed.
I do love bringing the dimension of the Spider-Verse into it, because then we're just going to have a Sentry that got bitten by a radioactive spider, and he's just basically Super Spider-Man, and he would win. So I'll give it to Pete.
Pete Hornberger.
Elektra versus Flash.
I
Flash.
hate this. It's Flash. Just move on. Fuck, I don't want to talk about it. Just hit
Flash.
What a bullshit. Fuck.
Thor versus Peter. Is there contact?
Thor does not have the same problem that Clark does, and he just
No.
beats Peter.
Thor would, in fact, be like, "It was fun to smash you, Spider."
I have squashed the spider.
He would, "I regret this," and would like leave his hammer on Spider-Man's crushed body for a century.
And have an arc about it, yeah, but he'd still do it.
Allie, Queen Mama Goddess.
I think
really my heart is with you, but
I think-
my want to get paid is with Flash.
I think Allie's comment here is reflective of our conversation of Jubilee versus Robin. Yes, Elektra wins in our hearts, but I don't think, unfortunately, Elektra actually wins versus Barry. Yeah.
Can I just talk for a moment about the peak of natural Matt's magic is sitting in a room full of 10 people and them never realizing he has been there the entire time, and everybody turning to him and suddenly realizing he's there, and him being like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was just making you not realize I was here. I'll leave." And like, that is the minimum threshold of Elektra's magic. And it's tough because she is like, we talk about a lot of fiction, like things like Julia on Magicians, characters who reach this apex of could become gods and or do become gods, and Elektra is always going to purposely cusp below it, whereas somebody like Flash always cusps above it and lies to himself about his place in the universe. Elektra is a realist who simply won't lie to herself, and I think she simply would never choose to fight the Flash. But if an editor was dumb enough to propose it, I would really, really want to be the guy that gets to write Elektra winning. It should be a woman. I don't know why a man would write it. But I would really like to be the guy that gets to write Elektra winning. So my heart is with you, Allie. You are a genius. Yeah, Thor.
So Thor versus Flash.
I don't know. This is horrible. This is truly horrible. This is.
You scripted this episode.
I know.
My vote is for Thor. I'm going to say that while the Flash has access to the power, he has no knowledge of how it works or why. He is not a god. He is a man who has access to godlike power. Thor is a god with access to godlike power and knowledge and a connection to things like Yggdrasil. Okay,
wait. So what I hear you saying is, with the same script, Walter Matthau could do a better job than Jeremy Allen White simply because he's actually old, not just acting like he's old. Sold.
No, I actually and I have a comparison for this. If they were in the same pantheon, this is like Thor is a Zeus and Flash is like a Perseus. He's like he's a
Hermes.
level. Well, okay.
Okay,
Is
don't
he a
call
god?
him out on him. Give him his Valtrex and let him move on.
Flash is a god?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean,
I'm saying he's a mortal who's tapped into
Right.
god level power.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I also would say that just the Odin Force, I do believe, is more powerful than the Speed Force, even though the Speed Force can do things that the Odin Force can't do.
Oh, okay. Maybe the Boar Force.
Sure,
But
it's all
diluted to oh my god, this is I just don't know. This is
that's fair.
This
My vote
Lily
is
or
for
Mitchell.
Thor. My vote is for Thor. Please, everybody else, vote as you will.
So
Yeah,
wait,
no.
are we leaning Thor?
I guess I'm gonna lean Thor. This is tough. This is really, 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 really fucking tough. And you know what? Yeah, no, Tori, if you could flash Tori's comment. Also, whoever defeats Thor has to survive Loki. Flash could never survive Loki. Loki would eat Flash like
True.
he was the sky on a cracker. So,
Crackers are salty like the sky.
crackers are salty like the sky. God bless Kirsten Dunst.
Whoa.
Or it is.
Oh, we need to watch that. We need to show that to our son. Did Jonah vote? Did he?
I mean, when he comes back, he can vote whatever he'd like, but he is outvoted.
Okay, so we're going Thor,
Yep.
and then we're moving on to our next round.
Yep.
I love seeing these images side by side, but this is such a weird pairing. It is Batman versus Captain America.
I am unwilling to believe Marvel would ever let this happen nowadays. By the way, Jonah, I'm so glad you're back. Honey, are you sitting in front of a snap background?
Yeah.
You fucking infinite king. I am so impressed with that. That's so cute. I love that you're representing your fandom in your own way. I don't see Marvel ever letting this team. No, I don't. This would never happen now.
I don't
let
think
Daredevil lose to Batman before they would let Captain America lose to Batman.
Well, it's fine if Daredevil loses to Batman, but and DC wouldn't let Batman lose to Cat. I mean, from Marvel's perspective, I don't care. I'm not. You think they treat Daredevil like DC treats Batman?
I think they said, "Who's writing Batman? Chip Zdarsky? How much are they paying you? You want to come here and do the same thing?"
Exactly. DC wouldn't let this matchup happen either, on the off chance that it came to some kind of standstill. I think ultimately Batman is smarter and more ruthless. Cap can do this all day, but if he gets tased, it kind of doesn't matter. If he gets gassed, it kind of doesn't matter. If he gets kicked very hard in the balls, it kind of doesn't matter. And those are three things that Batman can figure out how to do better than Cap can figure out how to avoid them.
I just want to add, I say that I think Phoenix is a flawless character. That, for me, is in fact Green Lantern. But if you're asking me who is the actual Daredevil Wolverine combo of the DC universe, it's Batman. I don't want to be that guy, but I was as big a Batman fan as a Daredevil fan for the first 22 years of my life. And I am hard pressed to I just see him and I swoon. I am hard pressed to vote against Batman. It's kind of impossible. Whatever a big Cap fan I am, it's got to go to Batman. He's right.
Jonah?
It's Batman.
Detective one. Oh god.
Yeah, no, this it has to go to Batman. And I don't even think this is we can use the arguments of DC and Marvel would never let this happen to begin with, blah 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 blah. That if this ever were to happen, this would be the one that DC is like, no, Batman wins no matter what. But even if you take away all of that, I still think Batman wins against Cap. Batman is just, not that Cap's not a smart man, but Batman's a genius, and he has a lot more tech to his availability, that he kind of has a lot more options to go against Cap, and it's unfortunate. But Cap's kind of linear, and what he does, he goes, yeah, it comes back to him.
I just also want to say I love your perspective, Jojo. Also, Ali Galactic, Mama, drag me for filth. I am fucked in your presence. I own more physical Batman comics than anything else, but Cap would clean Bruce's clock. I just want to say, I think most Caps would beat most Batmen. Like, I do think Bucky would actually beat Dick Grayson, and I could write an entire essay on why.
And I think bare knuckle boxing, yes, Steve would defeat Bruce.
Yes, yes,
Batman
yes.
versus Captain America is very different from Steve
I mean, there's
would
even
beat the shit out of.
There's even things like Batman has like backup personalities and like brain operating systems. And he would just be like, I'll switch to the one that makes this Steve Rogers guy think that I'm like him. And then once I've gotten into his inner circle and made him think I'm like a nice all-American guy, I will simply choke him.
Can I just say that Green Lanterns is a guy named Paul Manning, and he's just a scientist from the 51st century. What a dumbass. I'm glad he dies. Ugh.
It's got to go to Batman.
It's got to go to Batman.
Going to Batman, right?
Yes.
Yeah, with my sadness. I miss you, Cap.
Logan, I don't want
Listen,
to talk about this one. Fuck Lobo.
Lobo is a parody of hyperviolence that eventually became a parody of hyperviolence, performing hyperviolence hyperviolently, and
While listening to Lana Del Rey's Ultraviolence.
while watching Ultraviolet on 4K Ultraviolet. Also, I just want to say, this is the truly worst visual of a fictional character I've ever seen in my entire life. The acting is terrific.
And also, this is a man that definitely listens to Lana Del Rey's Ultraviolence. I just want to throw that out there.
The actual guy is gorgeous. Jojo, hit me.
I was reminded of one of the funniest clips of all time. It's Lana in concert singing "Summertime Sadness," and she sings, "I got my red dress on tonight," and a fan goes, "No, you don't." Just screams at her, "No, you don't," and she has to just keep continuing, and it's very funny.
Also,
You would do that, you little gremlin.
LA Galactic, you are correct that the single greatest fictional male character in all of comics ever, bar none, ever. Everybody else should just stop being stupid and stop trying is Wolverine. No one can ever vote against Logan. It's just ugly.
But when do we get to watch them kiss?
A
That's what
very
I'm waiting
important
for.
question.
Well, and that's so funny because I'm actually replying right now to Tori saying about our last entry, but Kenar Patton is Chris Evans' kiss. So,
I do just want to say that one of the things that I love about Lobo versus Wolverine is, would you mind zooming in on Lobo's body stats for a minute? 6'4", 305 pounds, eyes blood red, and hair sepulture black.
What gay wrote this? Sepulture? Just say black. What is this?
I mean, you can
Blood
literally
orange.
taste the musk of the balls still on that guy's breath. But would you do me a favor and bounce up to Logan's body?
yeah.
5'3", 195, brown, black.
That, but also that 195 is incorrect. Adamantium is heavier than that.
Truly. Actually, no. Does he have his adamantium here? Keva, would you flip over to the image?
Yeah, no, he doesn't, because we're way after.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then he is 195. Fair.
Bones. I was like,
that-
no, it's 196. Don't fuck with
Bones.
me. Oh my God, Jeff Smith, it's Bone. So I just want to say that one of the things that is so different between Wolverine and Lobo is Lobo's big and fucking huge. I mean, it's weird to say in this context, but this is short king shit. This is like, yeah, of course a guy who I can't think of his name, but like, the bodybuilder that I have in my head right now. Yeah, of course, anybody who's 6'4" when they're a big build is going to look impressive. But think about how hard it is for a little guy with a little metabolism to like get that huge. You know what I mean? Like the idea that Lobo is meant to be intimidating by just being intimidating misses the point. Wolverine is a literal runt who manages to be impressive. If you don't understand how Wolverine has cool baked into him and yet Lobo doesn't, it's the fact that the Fonz's name is the fucking Fonz, and he's played by a guy named Henry Winkler, and he's wearing old jackets, and he is still to this day why guys like Dale Cooper and me go, because he was cool. Wolverine is that kind of cool.
He'll always be cool.
He'll always be cool. Oh, James. James will always be cool. And Lobo will never have that. Yeah, you got there. James will always be cool. In this case, it's James Howlett, but James Hurley will always be cool.
And James Brown.
I almost did a piece of music for this episode that's no, not for this episode. I almost did a Body for tomorrow, which samples a piece of James Brown. But Lobo is so over the top. Lobo just doesn't have that cool baked into him. Forever, Wolverine is the coolest comic book character of all time.
Wolvie. Wonder versus Storm.
You cannot convince me DC thought they would lose this. You cannot. They probably said to themselves, 50-50, we lose one. No, they probably said it's a 1-5. We lose one of Batman or Superman. We're sure Wonder Woman is going to trounce Storm. We are within 5 years of Storm being the most recognizable woman in comics. She is Black excellence in comics at a time where comics said Black excellence had to be metered out in small doses. And she was unbridled, unstoppable, and on every page. This is such an incredible moment because this is the moment where Storm shows that she is worthy. And she just picks up the fucking hammer. And she and Wonder Woman have like a hammer fight. And it's insane. I mean, the hammer, Thor's hammer. And like Thor wins without his hammer, by the way. That's how cool Thor is. But I cannot believe that DC let this happen after the vote. I cannot believe they didn't pretend that DC burned down like it's a single building and the whole thing caught on fire. I am mind blown. Would you really imagine they would let Storm win today? That they would let Diana lose?
Yes.
Tough.
Maybe.
The thing is, they just have never recognized how to make a woman the third of the big three: Superman, Batman, and then, I mean, is it supposed to be Wonder Woman? Yes, but they let that second movie flop. They have managed to really fail, specifically Wonder Woman, in all of the Amazonian. There's so many amazing writers writing about the Amazons. None of them are her.
You're so right. In as far as they let New 52, the first 3 years was, Brian Azzarello, who I love, even though there's some questionable moments. Why would you let that man, who's best known for 100 Bullets, his most significant character is Dizzy Cordova? What were you thinking?
I mean, just incredible people are passionate about Nubia right now, and writing amazing Nubia stories. Nobody cares about Diana. And I get why. Who is she galvanizing to?
Fake Creeks.
And by comparison, I mean, and there's this other interesting thing where Diana is like kind of a goddess who wants to really not be one, and is weighed down by her godhood. And Storm is a human who was just like, actually, no, I'm not. I'm a goddess. Or Storm is a mutant, but Storm is was just a girl raised by born of two human parents who just took up the mantle of godhood, and then that was like her starting bid, and then she got actual godlike powers and then more godlike powers. She's perfectly fine wielding hers is Stormbringer.
Yes.
Perfectly fine wielding Stormbringer. She is the regent of the Soul System. All of these things.
System.
Storm has stepped up
sorry.
every time. And if this was today, Storm versus Nubia, you could put together an amazing panel of black women and queer men who would have an incredible debate about an Amazon versus a mutant goddess. But these two, I can't believe that there was ever a question for anyone. How silly of DC. It's their own fault.
You think they put Wonder Woman in a fight she couldn't win?
I think they ought to have known that she couldn't win it in the hearts and minds of people. Like, they haven't created somebody compelling. You can't just say, right, but she's our girl.
Yeah.
Jonah, how do you feel?
So this is actually very, very, very tough for me. I am previously on the show, I revealed I'm a closet secret Green Arrow fan. I'm also a secret closet Wonder Woman fan.
You're gay. It's built in.
I love Diana. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman truly is for the gays, for the she's, theys, and gays, and it's the same thing with Storm. This is very, very tough because I love both these women very equally, but I still give it a Storm because we are now at a point where Storm is so ungodly powerful. It's glorious. It's everything. It's perfection. I think Storm's power level eclipses a lot of the average power level of Marvel at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Especially with making her the regent of Soul. That she was literally the interplanetary Janet, the galaxy girl of the Milky Way. I mean, she was Schoolhouse rocking it. So I think we're saying this is an across the board Storm.
Because she's a GODDESS. She's
Keto, switch it over to goddess.
Really? I'll do it.
Oh, please do. 1000% Storm.
I do have it. Good for me.
Anybody who doesn't know, this is Sasha Colby's goddess, total goddess. Oh man.
And I'm going to see her later. Not like later tonight. She's doing a show.
Yeah. So jelly. So now this next category is a bunch of people that I was kind of surprised didn't make it, but with hindsight would definitely make it. I can't look at Charlie Cox without thinking that was the best casting of all time. And I know that many people came to the DC character verse, if not the DC proper universe, through the depiction of Ollie Queen by Stephen Amell, right? Robbie? Steven. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to confuse human beings. My dad calls me Nicker or Juju or Julie or Nicker or all the time. So I really understand.
Steven is the scab. That helps.
Oh, Jesus. It helps a lot. His career. This is tough. Who do I think they would be more protective of? Honestly, DC has never been particularly protective of its television. They've treated it like a scab, and they've burned it every chance they've had. Whereas I think Marvel goes out of its way to prop Daredevil up even during dark times. I think this would go to Daredevil. However, I've included 2 covers from 1996 that represent these 2 characters.
Also, Daredevil usually beats Bullseye, so I feel like he's fine against Arrow.
I would go with that for sure. Jonah, we have me and TK saying Daredevil. We have Ali Galactic saying she thinks Arrow. Tori, just vote Daredevil already. Jesus, Billy Club. But talk to me. Jonah, who do you think would win?
Let's do
Take him off the show.
Let's do a different contest. Which one of these peoples is the biggest womanizer? Is it still Daredevil?
Possibly.
I think he's also the bigger sub, though, if that helps.
Ooh, yeah. However, Daredevil does not make spicy chili.
Daredevil also doesn't really womanize. He just gets dumped a lot and never gives up. He's not dating a lot and being like, I don't think this is working out between us.
Well, he can smell your need.
He's that guy who's playing the piano in your courtyard outside your apartment, and then he goes viral, and then people are like, wait, this actually isn't romantic, you're a nightmare, and then someone lights his piano on fire, and then it's over.
What episode of Only Murders in the Building is that from?
Season 3, episode 6.
We saw it on Mental Health TikTok.
Kevo, I'm sorry, Jojo, do you have more? Do you have vote?
Oh no, it's Daredevil.
Okay.
It was Daredevil.
3 Daredevils, thank goodness.
There she is. Tori,
Kevy.
Avi, I'm a hornhead. Matt is a horn dog, and cute about it.
Do you have a vote between Green Bat, Arrow, or because listen, that is not goddamn Green Arrow. As a guy who's read every issue of Green Arrow, Green Lantern.
I know. You've been saying this for 10 years, my love. More than 10 years. Since literally the very beginning. You've literally from the very beginning been saying, no! It's a Batman show!
Listen, I've always been a big DC fanboy. It's always been a thing.
Then let's watch it. Your dad will be so happy if we watch all the CW DC verse. He'll be
Yes,
so happy.
because everything I've ever done in my entire life is just set out to make my dad happy. Let's click Daredevil and move the goddamn hell on.
Yeah, speaking of making dads happy, I'm going to vote Daredevil.
Okay, when I came up with Nightwing versus Deadpool, I said, who have the 2 largest penises in the DC and Marvel universe, but never ever bring it up? Nightwing and Deadpool. I think Nightwing wants to be taken seriously for his mental acumen, and I think Deadpool just wants you to take him really. He just wants to be considered funny. He just wants you to like him. He just wants you to think he's funny. He doesn't care about anything else. But these 2 dudes ooze BDE. They ooze funny BDE. They are 2 of the people who get put in the most positions. Now, one of the things that's interesting is Dick Grayson certainly doesn't see the amount of titles that somebody like a Deadpool would see. But because of the nature of who Nightwing is, he has filled in every single role in the DC universe at one point or another. Comparatively, Deadpool has done the same thing with a third of the time. Now, that said, Deadpool's costume is banging hot. Nightwing looks like he's going to go play paintball, so I'm not sure what to do. I don't know who I'm going to pick. I think I'm going to go with Deadpool because I am Deadpool, but I think Nightwing could kick my ass, so I don't know what to do here.
I'm voting Nightwing. I feel like Deadpool is so chaotic and so not in. You could write a story where you convinced me that Deadpool had a motivation to win, but absent any particular thing, Deadpool is not even an agent of chaos. He is just chaotic. He can't keep thoughts in his head. He cannot stay focused. And Dick Grayson is so blindingly motivated to live up to the mantle of his mentor, to be good enough as a superhero in his own right. I simply feel that he would find a way to win.
You know, I think about Deadpool as so unkillable, but I guess I don't remember to think about Nightwing as so indefatigable.
Yeah.
Is so relentless. I think I'm going to still go with Deadpool, but I really hear your perspective, and you definitely pushed my vote a little bit further central, though I'm still leaning Deadpool.
If
Joe, oh,
sorry, the only thing I was going to say
No,
is
of course.
if it were just Alyssa Wong's new Deadpool, I would be much closer to voting for Deadpool. It is the years, and also at this point in 1996, I don't really even know who we're talking. We're not talking about somebody who's funny. We're not talking about somebody who has BDE. We're talking about Rob Liefeld's weird footless wet dream, plus a little bit more stuff, but not
Back
much more.
Kind
stuff.
of a slimy dream.
Yeah, a real viscous, if you will. Anyway, I'm giving it to Nightwing.
You know, and I just want to give it up to Dante's amazing perspective of Deadpool is ridiculous and silly, but he is genuinely good at murdering people when he wants to do his job. But there does have to be a reason for him to follow through. I really resonate with that perspective. It's why I think I am going Deadpool over Nightwing. Jonah, how do you feel? I mean, as a Nightwing compared to a Deadpool, where do you land on this fight?
Nightwing, because that's the ass of DC. It's quite. I wouldn't say shocking. It is fascinating how sexualized Dick Grayson really is. Especially in a lot of covers. He is like they pimp him out.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, but now we're at a tie, I think, because I think I am also going Deadpool. I see all the arguments and I get them, but it comes down to the supernatural abilities of Deadpool that Dick Grayson doesn't really have. I'm also, for the first time in my life, really seeing genuinely how much Nightwing's costume is Batman's costume, and oh, daddy issues. Oh, sweet boy. Oh, daddy issues. Oh, goodness gracious, you put on daddy's suit. Oh, goodness. But yeah, sure, he's great. He's awesome. But Deadpool he's mutant, right? That's
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, mutant enough
Just go
to
with
pass
yes.
the mutant Dell test.
There is an X gene inside him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure multiple X genes have been inside of him.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
All right, so I think between our group vote and the audience, giving it a little bit more toward Deadpool, I think Deadpool just managed to edge Nightwing, which of course is on Wade's bucket list. I'm sorry, his fuck it list. So let's move on to the next made-up versus. This one was tough. I really wanted to include either Jean or Emma, and I said, I feel like there is consistently a little bit more attention on Jean than Emma. So I voted with Jean, and I thought, who really is just Jean at DC? And it is Raven. But what I discovered as I did my research is Raven is pretty dead for a good 15, 20 years, which I knew, but I knew that there were so many other versions of Raven, a Raven from the future, an evil Raven, that I had assumed there was always a version of Raven because, you know, nowadays there would always be 3 or 4 versions of Raven. No, in 1996, Keva, would you please zoom in on that Raven cover if it's possible?
Yeah, just gotta bring it up separate.
Absolutely. That new Teen Titans cover, that is an evil version of Raven. That was the bad guy of this 1996 era of New Teen Titans. Oh, that fucking weirdo with the, Jane Child up there. That is Raven.
That's just Madeline Pryor with black hair.
Yeah, she is literally just a Jean ripoff in every way, to the point that is so frustrating. You know, I find myself and you can even see Marv Wolfman's name is right there. Like, that is literally Wolfman Perez. That is the Claremont and everyone that Claremont worked with of Teen Titans. This was not the best era. You know, Raven is so cool. She's so special. She's so one of a kind, except for Jean. that I'm fugged to vote against her. It's fucking ugly to make me do it, but I mean, Jean is literally my single favorite fictional character of all time. I'm never going to vote against Jean Grey. I would vote against myself for president to vote for Jean Grey before I would vote against Jean Grey. So, even Sansa Grey over here, it's still going to go to Jean Grey.
She gave a pretty good Jean for her script.
For
She
her
did.
script, yes. Although I love, God, what's her name?
Sam
Sam King?
No, I love the girl who plays Raven on Titans.
Oh, okay.
She's really good. She gets so good after 4 seasons. She's really one of the best characters on the show. One of the best actors.
Yeah, learning curves.
Stop that. And yeah, she's great. It's funny because earlier I was saying if you were talking about Teen Titans versus Generation X, I would probably say the Teen Titans would beat Generation X. If you were picking individual Teen Titans versus individual members of Gen X, probably I think the individual members of Gen X would win every time. They just have no cohesion as a group and they fucking hate each other half the time. It's
A bunch
such
of
a
atom bombs aren't going to necessarily run the world.
It's such a retcon of post Generation X that they are all friends and they all liked each other.
And that's their special time. That's
Yeah.
our time, and we would fight anyone who would take it from us.
It really, yes, that is Paige Guthrie with too much to drink. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Titans versus the X-Men, and the X-Men win. God damn it, every time.
Jojo, as a boy who grew up a Titans boy.
Don't get mad. Don't be upset about what I'm about to say.
No, Gene won, so you can say whatever you want. I have no stake in
I'll
this.
get mad.
That's fine. Get mad. No, I can't police your feelings. Be mad at me if you will.
Get mad, get
Really, if
mad.
we're
Go
if we're
ahead,
talking
get
about-
rude.
I'll call you a bitch. Call me a bitch. Let's call you a dude. Call me a dude. Shout out to Mirage. Wrong show. That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow. So, okay. Here's the thing. Again, what I was talking about earlier, where DC scales their power level to much different and higher levels than they do to Marvel does. Raven specifically is so obscenely powerful, it's not funny. The amount of things Raven can do and the things that Raven has going for her, especially if we're talking about White Cloth Raven, that kind of everything that Raven...
right, after she died, after she was dead, after she managed to die, she can do anything.
I mean, we could say the same thing about Jean.
Yes, but Jean could do anything before she died, so...
That's right, she can fall over and you go, I can't do it, Scott! Ugh!
Well, Jean never came back in a cute teen girl or whatever.
So you're voting Titans, huh, Jonah?
Yes, Raven, and specifically in this matchup as well, Raven, like they're like Raven, like full. Even if you want to give Jean like every single like powerful thing you can give her, like Phoenix Force, all that, the way that Raven's powers work, actually with cosmic entities, like kind of fully nullifies a lot of what the Phoenix can do. So it's unfortunate that Raven just kind of counters Jean, but you know, one bird to another.
Well, now that Jonah knows how it feels to vote for John Kerry, Kevo, do you have anything else to say?
No, I'm also gonna go with Jean. It's just she would find a way. She always does. It's unfortunate, but it's what she does.
What she do? Let's click it.
Yeah.
Strange versus Constantine. Yeah, I think John Constantine is the second best male character in all of DC. He is just my raison d'etre. I love him. I would vote John Constantine, but I don't see Marvel letting Doctor Strange lose to the master of bad luck magic. John Constantine is a punk ass bitch compared to Doctor Strange, because the demons that Doctor Strange is multiversally willing to make deals with, John Constantine thinks you are repugnant for making deals with. John Constantine, as a guy with no morals, won't cross the same lines that Doctor Strange thinks are always there ready to cross. So who would win? Oh, Doctor Strange, because he's worse. And because Marvel has more stake in a worse guy than DC has in a guy who's morally objectionable.
I like that perspective. I was thinking about how when the run that was drawn by Bacalo started, who wrote that?
Aaron.
Was it Aaron?
Aaron.
I think he is cribbing a lot from Hellblazer.
Yes.
He really makes Doctor Strange a much grosser, he makes Doctor Strange much more hard-lived, much younger. The cape becomes a coat when he's out in the world. He's trying to make him hip, and he's really trying to make him a lot more like Constantine. So there's a way in which I kind of just want to, at the very least, acknowledge that some of what has made modern Doctor Strange really cool and powerful is a little bit cribbed.
Oh yeah, I mean, I own literally every appearance of Doctor Jesus. No, I don't. I would never do that to myself. I own every appearance of John
Jesus.
Constantine.
I know. Oh, I know.
From his first appearance until
Yeah.
2014.
Oh no, I don't think I'm educating you.
No. I mean, as somebody with as much John Constantine as I have, I completely agree. I still think he loses.
Yeah, no, I what I was going to say is, even given all that, I thought that was I thought what Aaron was trying to do was really cool. I think holistically it was never going to work because it doesn't acknowledge the fact that he is actually Magic Daddy, and it's why Gods doesn't work either, because it includes a ton of Doctor Strange as a feature character, but it tries to, in a lot of ways, be like, magic is really beyond Stephen Strange. And the fact is, for the average Marvel reader, and even kind of the above average on either side of the spectrum Marvel reader, above and below average Marvel reader, it's all about Doctor Strange. Unless you really invest a lot of time and money making other magical characters grassroots entry points into magic, it doesn't really even work for Wanda. We don't really follow Wanda very well with this stuff. Steve Orlando's doing his best, but this book is not changing the landscape. Gods isn't changing the landscape. It's all on the shoulders of Stephen Strange. I think the only thing that has ever even gotten close for magic stuff lately is Strange Academy, and it's because you shift the responsibility to a lot of characters, but none of those characters on their own really stands as a magic entity above or even close to Doctor Strange, and I sort of don't feel like a ton of people at DC really do either. I know John Constantine is the best competitor, but I just don't think that he is the authority to the readership that people see Doctor Strange at Marvel as being when it comes to magic stuff.
I really see that. And I just want to say, I've just never thought that the Constantine film has anything to do with Constantine from the comics.
No.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's a very fine
It's a really cool film. It just could have been called anything.
It could have been called anything.
Yeah.
Literally has as much to do with the story Dangerous Habits, and I mean this unoffensively, as X-Men The Last Stand has to do with Dark Phoenix Saga.
Yeah.
It is literally just person does this thing. It's never a strike against the film, but it is a horrible adaptation of a source material. Great film, terrible adaptation.
Right.
And that's all it's ever been. I think the movie is great, and I really enjoy it. I think Keanu Reeves is amazing, and I would love to see him come back and play Constantine again. I just, it's that Matt Ryan, who does a passable job, is a whole lot closer to my character. Jojo, do you have a whole lot of Constantine experience, or is the vast majority of your Constantine experience Joanna? Also Dante, I completely agree, but it turns out in 1996 Zatanna had one appearance, and so I couldn't use it. It was in a Guy Gardner book.
So I assume you put Santana with Scarlet Witch, but that's beside the point. Neither here nor there. Point being, for this, no, my only real exposure to Constantine is Joanna and the one clip of the animated series where they were like, "Oh, my ex is coming," and both King Shark and Harley were walking past, and I forgot who John Constantine is with. He was like, "You dated Harley?" And he was like, "No." So John in this animated film, got some of that shark gussy. A sentence I thought you probably never thought you'd hear in the year of our Lord 2024.
I'm telling you right now, he bottomed.
Doctor Strange.
I agree, Doctor Strange. Keva, how you feeling?
What was TK's?
Strange.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure there was a general consensus. I think that is pretty correct. No offense to John here.
All right, let's roll along to I believe our last matchup. Who would win, Harley Quinn or Ms. Marvel, the face of the future of their generations? Harley Quinn has been made a good guy because she is legitimately important to a generation of young women being embraced in comics. Not embracing comics, being embraced in comics. Saying these types of women belong in comics is not just, dumb damsels. It's strong, smart fighters. I think there is a lot to be said for the very different kinds of women in the same age bracket that these two women represent. It sucks because I think DC would say because Harley Quinn started as a bad guy, she would need to lose and Ms. Marvel would need to win. And that I think sucks only because Harley Quinn has come to mean so much more. She has come to represent that idea of at 18 years old, it's scary, it's hard. And that idea of that reverberating sense of loss of identity. People who are in abusive relationships, people who are attached to toxic people who base themselves on other iterations that they come to realize are problematic, people who come out late in life, people who are drawn to tropic ideas in fiction. I think she represents so much. It's just so unfortunate that I couldn't think of anybody in all of DC who represents as much to a generation of women as Harley does, the way Ms. Marvel does, but Kamala's got to win. It's like it's a 10-1 for me. Kamala's got to win.
If we were talking about similar characters, I don't know that I have a great one for Kamala. If I'm saying if we were not talking about like status at the company and why they're important for publishing, yes, I would do Harley Quinn versus Mary, because it is really that thing of it's not villainy and mental illness were associated for such a long time in a way that was gross for everybody. It had nothing to do with gender, sexuality, or anything. Those things factored in for additional characters, and we know that they've skewed very much for characters, but there were straight white male characters who were villains because they were insane. But some really important women fit into this category because there just aren't enough women in comics. There aren't enough women working in comics, and there aren't enough women characters in comics. So what young girls had to read a lot of the time was a psychopathic girl. And they loved them anyway, because, for all the Deadpool is that kind of character too, and guys love Deadpool. So like there's always reasons to like those kinds of characters, but Harley, they really did the long-term work to situate in a place of being an anti-hero and then a hero in her own right, and never losing a lot of those beats that make her essentially somebody who lived with mental illness and who did a lot of the bad things that they said she did. It's just kind of a lot of the motivations ascribed to her and a lot of the perspective for the character changed and evolved over time, and we're seeing that happen a lot faster with Mary, and differently with Mary too. Mary is still very much a villain, but I think they would have been a great matchup. It's just that Mary does not occupy the same space in Marvel's strategy for how they're going to publish books going forward that Harley Quinn clearly does for DC. So even though I think they would be a really fun matchup, if we're talking about who the publishing companies are pointing to and saying, you know, this is important for the future of our company, I think you really did pick a solid pairing. But yeah, I think it has to go to Ms. Marvel in so many ways. And I think this might even sort of in a lot of ways be the other side of the coin of a Superman versus Spider-Man, where I think Harley would be like, you're cute, I'm not going to fight you.
I get that 1,000%. All right. It sounds like it's going Kamala, right? All right.
Yeah.
We already said it. I do think it has to go to Batman.
I mean, I think it's got to go to Logan.
Really?
Yeah. Batman can die. Logan can't.
You don't think he could find a way around Logan's healing factor?
You
don't think he'd do the cut the head off and run it into the sea that Charles Xavier put in the burn book?
Not in the same way that Logan can regenerate from a drop of blood.
I mean, I'm down. I don't care about Batman, so I'm down to let Logan win.
I really think Logan has the immortality edge that Batman just is limited by the lifespan of his fate cord.
Do any of our other panelists or watchers at home want to give it to Batman?
Patch.
All right, let's give it to Patch. I'm stoked about this. I thought I was gonna get outvoted.
No.
Oh God, poor Matt.
Storm.
Sorry, Matt. Love you, baby. You are my boy. You are my little baby. You are my precious little baby, Matt. But
Matthew would apologize for getting in her way.
Yep.
And ask what he can do to make this up to her.
Yep.
So,
just wouldn't even.
Storm.
Not even close.
Matt would literally go, oh, mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry.
Excuse me.
Dummy, mommy, sorry. Yep. Jean Grey could absolutely defeat Deadpool.
Deadpool's always trying to get on the X-Men.
Yeah, that's not. He would literally be like, "If you kill me, can I be on the X-Men if I come back?" So like, Chimichanga, Mommy Wonga. It is absolutely a Jean Grey world. Oh, I hate this. It goes to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, it's just life.
Ew, I feel
wow.
Experience.
DC did not fare well on this side of the board. I'm really
no, because we're Marvel boys. It's fine.
You stacked this half. So plus we're not the editorial. So.
Can I be honest?
Logan.
I do think that Marvel would even say Storm beats Logan. I don't think it'd be a question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Logan go, Roro, this one's for you.
Yeah.
And then
he would never take the killing strike against Storm, not even if she was the Dark Phoenix. Nope.
Oh, can I quickly talk about how we didn't get to this theoretical what if, but if there was a matchup was Batman versus Spider-Man, it wouldn't end in a fight. It would end in Batman adopting Spider-Man. It'd be like this acrobatic young boy who needs guidance.
Spider Robin, absolutely.
Spider-Bat, yeah.
I think Jean Grey would win. I think that Marvel, from an editorial standpoint, would give it to Phoenix before they would give it to Doctor Strange, because they could always explain away that Jean won as two beings in one, but they would never let Doctor Strange solely beat the Phoenix.
I concur.
I mean, we're looking at a Jean Grey right there that is not the Phoenix, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, because we're saying it the now. It's the now. That's just an image from 1996 I used.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, Doctor Strange has been a little bit off his game anyway, so.
Jean! Roro versus Jean. They just had that lovely conversation this week, too.
They did, but it would go to the Phoenix. I do understand all of the arguments, but like Jean Jean is the Phoenix, and then Storm being the person she is, Storm would say, I know better than to try to kill a being of cosmic force. It would go to Jean.
I'm down.
Is that everyone?
Well, it's 3, so it's enough. I mean, stepmom or step.
I was gonna no, this is the mom wins.
Jean wins.
She brought you into this world literally. She'll take you out.
Absolutely. It goes to real angry kitchen mom.
It comes down to Thor versus Jean Grey Phoenix, and we're saying Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't see why. I mean,
Okay.
after we did the actual reevaluation, all of this other stuff was just Boston Market gravy, and by that I mean no longer exists.
Ooh.
So
Why would
Jean,
you
it
say
is.
that? She did it.
Oh, guys, I've had such a fun time. Congratulations to Jean Grey, who wasn't even in Marvel vs. DC, on winning the reevaluation of Marvel vs. DC. I have had such an amazing time talking about this with you guys, along with amazing contributors like Tori Sheehan and the amazing Tasty Cake, and of course, who could forget Ali Galactic, among others like Dante Polar Knights. What an incredible opportunity to interact with so many fans tonight. I've had an amazing time, and I can't wait to come back and talk tomorrow about more amazing content like the recent episodes of Drag Race and more. But until then, Kevo, one of the things I have loved so much is your amazing willingness to just adapt to figuring out whatever looks good with these crazy covers and more. And it's so amazing. Until we come back tomorrow to check out more of your incredible production, where can everybody find you?
Well, you can find me usually doing a whole bunch of fun, new, and exciting work on this show. I love our new opening graphic, and I love all of the awesome music work that you have been doing for our show lately. We did 3 different tracks today, so that was exciting. So definitely check out Nico's work over on his SoundCloud and on his YouTube channel, which I've popped links to over in our comments. And you can find me over on the socials at Kevoreally. That's Kevoreally. I guess we're going to go this way then. So, Jojo, where can everyone find you, sir?
You can find me places on the internet at Peak Jonah. That's Peak.
TK, where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at TK Elemental, of course. Nico, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me all over all of the versions of this show at X's for Show, as well as my own stuff, Nico Action, that's NicoAction, and Taka Music on there, like Kevo said, if you want to find some of my super cool music tracks over here on YouTube. I can't wait to bring you guys more exciting music like we did today, debuting my super cool cover of Kissed by a Rose. I'll have that up on my SoundCloud in the next couple of weeks, among many others. But until then, small request, guys, do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe, big fans. But if we have a couple of other requests, number one, you guys got to stay safe. It's a scary world out there. You never know where there's a Sinestro, where you're hoping for a Green Lantern. But, while you're at it, thinking about Green Lantern, don't forget to be brave. This was an opportunity for me to be a big DC fanboy, so I'm going to just keep embracing it. And like the Green Lantern, we ask you guys to be so brave and voice your opinions, whether it's crazy stuff like who would win Spider-Man versus Superman, or it's the important stuff out there. It's technically an election year, just like RuPaul always likes to remind us. So let's make sure that we are always to our best team in the biz. Yeah, boys, thank you so much to our incredible audience. And we are such big fans of yours. But number 3, if you got one more thing inside of you, evolve daily. Super great when you stay safe, super great when you be brave, but we want to see who you're going to be tomorrow. So don't forget to evolve daily so we can see it. And until then, we'll see ya.